Hello, Property Spy. This is the channel where we look at all things property. We study the property market, we look for insights into property decisions that investors make, and we look at the different reasons why things tend to happen and the secrets that investors consider before making any investment. Now, today we're going to look at the property market in general, try to make sense of why the property prices are continuing to grow despite all of the bad news that's currently in the market. Now, Property Spy is dedicated to help you make the right decision and to look at the things that are necessary or important for you to invest successfully. Now, before I get started, I saw this advert for a property for sale in Cardiff. And what piqued my interest was that here, just a funny one before we get started on the things that are serious. It says this detached property has been recently modernized. Well, hey, recently modernized. And I thought, okay, let's have a look. This is Cardiff, 575,000. Let's look at some of the pictures. Firstly, it's a detached house for this price. You'd expect a better picture to be the primary picture for marketing purposes. But that's the first picture on the gallery for this property. Then we look at the carpets. When you say recently modernized, how recent is recently modernized? So that's one. You look at the decor inside, it doesn't look like it's recently modernized. So why does it say recently modernized? So these are things you need to look at. The kitchen looks dated. So what exactly was modernized? So these are questions you'd need to pose. This doesn't look like it has been recently modernized. So it's just really interesting how there is the play on words from agents and get you all excited and only for you to turn up when things are not as they seem. Anyway, what are we talking about today? Now, a lot of data has come out showing that the property market is still increasing. Properties on the market are going up in value despite a retinue of things that should be pushing the property market in the opposite direction. For example, the cost of living crisis. It is real. It is affecting some people. There's been a successive increase in interest rates, which means that your normal mortgage rate would continue to go up. If you're trying to get onto the property market anytime soon, the rates you'll be paying will be high, albeit historically still low relative to where many people were many years ago. There is the warning of things slowing down, the economy slowing down, all of that stuff. That's been on the news. There's been a lot of news to really scare any investor, but property prices still continue to grow. And then you've got the big one, which is the energy price cap going up at least twice between now and end of April next year. All these things are high cost, but why are property prices still going up? If we look at the house price index, this one's from April 2022. UK average house prices increased 12.4% to April. So that's going up. That's a huge growth. If you had a property, if you owned a property already a year ago and it's gone up by 12%, if it was 100 grand then, it's now 112 grand. And you didn't have to work for it. Well, there is other work you do, but it just sits in your portfolio and increases. Granted, inflation has gone up significantly in that period as well. So in real terms, it's probably not an increase. But in nominal terms, it is an increase. The nominal value of your portfolio has gone up. And the fact is, if you sold now, you'd get 12 grand more than you paid to purchase it, not including costs, obviously. So this is from ONS, the Office of National Statistics. And this is a reliable chart and reliable source of information for a lot of property investors. What's this other one? House prices rise for 12 successive months. So 12 months of constant increase. So this is why it is often said that time in the market is better than time in the market. If you had based all your investment decisions on the news or what you hear in the media, you probably would have been scared away from investing. But those who carried on investing have experienced a 12% growth. If you had cash, your cash has been devalued by whatever inflation has gone up by in the last 12 months. This is obviously not investment advice, just stating the facts, and we're all learning together. And please, if there's anything I've misspoken on, do add it to the comments. This is another piece of news, house price rises. So everybody is mentioning the house price rises. Every single person is mentioning the house price rise. So it is a very, very interesting time for your average investor and your seasoned investor. What else is here? New subsidized housing provided in London. Definitely needed in London. Things are so expensive here. It's in the southeast that we need all the schemes, help to buy, all of those things to support the first-time buyers. Not ideal for investors, because obviously investors don't get on the help to buy schemes generally, but that is definitely a source. So what is the point of today's video? So the idea is, when you're investing, do look at multiple sources of information. Do not assume that because there are all these costs and all these headwinds that you need to stop investing and wait till everything comes down, because you don't know when it's going to come down. And for all intents and purposes, if it does come down by 10% or 20% next year, then you've really not saved yourself a lot compared, with last year. So if it comes down 20% next year, and between now and then house prices have gone up by 20%, then really we're back to where we are today. So this is where you need to have a long-term vision, or it generally is advised to have long-term vision, long-term investment plans. And yes, so why are house prices still going up? There's a multiple of reasons why house prices are going up. One of the main reasons is that demand is higher than supply. So it is well known that the UK should be building at least 300,000 units every year, but currently only about 150,000 are being produced. So there's still a net difference of 150,000 that needs to be built, or that need to be built in order just to meet what the demand is currently, and that demand is not there. Now, if there's a lot of demand and the supply is not there, guess what? Prices just keep going up. And even though there are all these issues with prices and costs going up, and cost of fuel, cost of petrol, everything has gone up, inflation is expensive, food is so expensive now, there are still some people who are able to afford what is on the market, and there is competition. So that's the first thing. The next thing is, if we look at employment, people are not losing their jobs. Right here is the employment in the UK, July 2022, Office of National Statistics. Main points, March to May 2022, just because of how the data is collated, is showing May, show fall in the economic inactivity rate. So there's a drop in economic inactivity. That means there's more economic activity, right? Okay, and that means people are generally spending their money, going out and doing different things. There's been a drop in unemployment rate as well. The UK unemployment rate was estimated at 75.9%, 0.4% points higher than the previous 3 months. So the market is experiencing issues, but employment is going up. People are working more. There is a suspicion that some people are even doing multiple jobs in order to maintain their standard of living and in order to be able to cover the increases in costs and the cost of living. But people are working harder, and they are still earning. And when you go out to get a mortgage, it is all based on your income. And if you've got sufficient income and your job is fairly secure, and there are many jobs that are unfilled currently, so people are not losing their jobs. So there's employment, there's the demand is higher than the supply, and companies are just not building enough units. So these two things alone are sufficient to keep the market buoyant. Now, if the market and recession happens and it's confirmed that there's a major recession in the UK, what could happen? Well, some employers may decide to cut jobs, but right now that is not the case. and a lot of data has come out in order for businesses to make the decision as to whether they'll cut jobs or not. But that's not happening. Now, what else is also an issue? Now, there is a report that says that the government should focus on affordability, and it needs to push for there to be a balance of tenures. And what are tenures? Tenures essentially whether anything that's built is freehold or leasehold, or what kind of purchaser or buyer those properties would satisfy. Now, if you don't have the right set of tenures, then obviously the purchasers are probably not going to buy what is on the market. Now, what are the typical tenures we look at in the UK? There's this site, this Propilo, and if you just Google it, there are many sites that talk about tenures. And there are different types of tenures, but the ones that we tend to focus on in property are freehold, leasehold, and then there's common hold. And common hold is essentially where a group of flat owners come together, form a company, or form a common hold association, and that common hold association then owns the building. So rather than going leasehold separately, they club together and then own the freehold, and that has its benefits. And that is becoming more and more common. Pardon the pun, but it's becoming more and more common because people don't want to face some of the unscrupulous freeholders who charge a huge amount to do anything, to extend your flat into the loft. There's a huge amount there. To extend your lease, there's an amount there. To change the walls in your flat, there's an amount there. So if you're in common hold, or if you have a share of freehold, then a lot of those issues tend to be mitigated. So what should one do, or what would one do if you find yourself in this market? Now, in every market there are opportunities. One thing is clear based on the data that's currently coming out: rent is going up, demand for rent is going up, supply is going down. Supply of rental properties, supply of new properties coming up, new build properties is not meeting the demand. So you are going to have that imbalance for quite a while, and the government may need to step in to assist first-time buyers certainly, and any large house builders. So look at the numbers, crunch your rental income, crunch your purchase price, look at the yields, and then ask yourself if that yield would meet your criteria as an investor. Different investors have different criteria for calculating whether something's worth investing in or not. Now, will house prices continue to rise indefinitely? No. Even though there's this demand-supply imbalance, there will still come a time when prices will have to drop, because the prices can't keep going up. It becomes unaffordable, then things have to drop to a level where things become affordable again. So that's what you need to keep an eye on. Now, a lot of people are spending a lot more of their income on renting properties. So there will come a crunch time where you've got the rental income, you've got the cost of living going up, gas, electric, water, everything is going up, food is going up. There'll come a time where something gives. And when that time comes, things will have to drop back down to a level where there's a balance again. So you need to keep an eye on that, keep an eye on the income of the people that potentially rent your property if you decide to go into buy to let. If you're doing HMO, you look at that demand situation as well. There's also a report that's come out from Paragon saying that HMO renters are demanding a lot more from their HMO properties. They want ensuite bathrooms, they want things more modern, and they've got options. So these are things you need to look at: the cost of doing the development, the cost of management, the cost of running the building, and in the end, your profit. So, to begin with, your profit before all the other costs, and then if all the numbers work out, then do go in. Remember, time in the market always trumps time in the market. So that's it for today. I hope you picked up something from this. If you do have any comments, leave them in the comment section. And until next time, happy investing.